Welcome to the Movers and Shakers podcast, where real students are doing real deals in the world of multifamily real estate. I'm Vince Gethings, the owner of the Wheelwell Profits Academy. Listen in as we dive into the journeys of driven individuals who are turning their dreams into reality. These people are just like you, taking action and making things happen. If you enjoy the show, please like, subscribe, and if you're ready to take action, check us out at wheelwellprofits.com to learn more about our incredible community. Let's get started.
This is Movers and Shakers, where we interview the upcoming generation of make it happen multifamily investors to share their story.
Welcome to the Movers and Shakers podcast. My name is Gino Barbaro, co-founder of Jake and Gino, multifamily investor, educator, father, mentor, and I am joined by my co-host, my broser, Josh Rusin, the community director of Jake and Gino. Josh, how you doing today, bro?
G-Father, doing well, man. Super excited. A lot of good things happening. The Jake and Gino community is fully humming. You know, we're making things happen on Rand and really just adding massive value and firing on all cylinders. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. My hair looks good today because I haven't gone on the golf cart yet. So it's looking okay. Not as good as yours, but it's there. I'm excited because I'm coming to Atlanta this weekend. We have a big boot camp, a buy right boot camp, and it's really great because we have our master coach, Bill Ham, teaching it. And it's all about buy right. It's all about how to underwrite a deal. We're going to talk about market cycles. We're going to talk about how to actually look at a deal and how to evaluate a deal from start to finish, looking at T12s. So to me, that's exciting. That's part of the buy right. And that's really the first leg of our framework. And we all have to learn how to underwrite a deal properly. So I'm excited about that. I'm going to bring my son in because I think, education starts at home. I want to be the role model for him. I want him to learn the real estate business. And if he doesn't like it, great. But at least I can expose him to the amazing community, have him meet people who are actually doing it and who want to learn it. So I'm excited.
That is awesome. Education times action equals results. Even more exciting than that is today's guest. We have Braden Gasper. So Braden just completed his first year of business in the real estate world. Last March, he transitioned from high school basketball coach to real estate entrepreneur when he started his multifamily business, Heartland Real Estate LLC. A few months later, he partnered with his mother, Renee, to start a fix and flip business called Pristine Homes LLC. Since last March, Braden has been involved in over $2 million in real estate transactions and has learned many valuable lessons from both successes and mistakes. Heartland Real Estate LLC currently owns and is repositioning a 12-unit apartment complex and a fourplex, while Pristine Homes LLC is actively flipping 2 homes. He currently resides in North Vernon, Indiana, with his wife, Leah, and their 3-month-old baby girl, Blakely. Braden is continually learning and just joined the Jake and Gino community not long ago in an effort to surround himself with like-minded multifamily investors, learn how to scale his business, and ultimately spend more valuable time with his young wife and young family to serve others. Braden, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
You know, Braden, your bio brings up a really good point before we kind of dive into why real estate and the transition. When did you – so most people think that the idea is to build – go out there and do it. And they end up building a job rather than a business. And we can look at something like, Gino, what he had with his restaurant. When did you start to make that distinction of, hey, I want to build this or something where I have time freedom rather than something that's dependent on me? Because that's a huge point that not many people hit.
Yeah. So like I mentioned, I was coaching high school basketball. I was also working for my father at an engineering business that he owned. And I just feel like I was being pulled away all the time, and just I had no time and ultimately no money. And I was driving back and forth. So it was 45 minutes away where I coached basketball at. And I would drive back and forth, and I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life because I knew this wasn't it. And I came across real estate. And so every day, 45 minutes one way, 45 minutes back, I would listen to real estate podcasts, books, anything I could get my hands on. And then that really got me in the mindset after reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad of building this business instead of working for money.
So the fix and flip business, do you like that business? And why did you end up ultimately transitioning to multifamily?
I love it, actually. It's something that my mom and I do together, and we have fun with it. And right now we're buying properties still very cheaply, so that if something would go wrong, we can still, we buy properties that we can still rent out through tough times. So, in a sense, it still has the option to be multifamily, it has the option to be a rental. So, and we really do enjoy it, and we bond together doing that. So I love that aspect of it. And multifamily is just an additional passion with that. I've just fully immersed myself in real estate and any opportunity I can get my hands on.
So when you got into the multifamily space, you bought this unit here. You're repositioning it. Tell us what drew you to this deal. What was exciting about this deal?
Yeah, so I made an original purchase of about 9 units, 5 units last year in August, and then another fourplex this past February. Well, I packaged those all up and sold them in March, in March 2019 this year. And then this deal came along just right after I sold them. I found an undervalued property in my area. I bought it for $31,000 a unit, and I just sold my 9 units for $52,000 a unit. So instantly, I was looking at this, going, "Whoa, something's not adding up here. Why is this $31,000? I just sold my 9 units for $52,000." So I knew there was some potential value there. Went in and checked it out. Half of the units had already been rehabbed by the previous owner. And I just saw opportunity, and I didn't even really know what I was doing, but I just jumped in. And that's kind of where I found you guys. I got a little in over my head, I guess I should say. I was a mom and pop when I bought this. So I needed somebody, some guidance, some community to help me turn this thing around.
So what made you sell the 9 units? Was it just because you cashed out and you got a great price for it, and you just said, you know what, I want to go bigger?
Yes. So I had bought those at 46 a unit, and there was no real value play there. It was a long-term buy and hold, and it was going to strap me. So I got out because there was not that equity play there. So I got out and knew I had to find something that I could pour more money into and make worth more.
And how did you find this next deal?
A local broker that I've been working with just called me up and said, "Hey, I've got one here," and we got it done.
So why did he call you?
So when I first started in real estate a year ago, he was the first agent I called, and we had a long discussion and told him, what my plans are. This is what I want to do. I want to buy fix and flips, and I want to buy multifamily. And we talk on the phone almost daily. So it's just been a really good relationship, and one that's brought me a couple houses and a 12 unit.
Braden, would you say that's one of the best ways to get deals, is that broker relationship?
Yeah, me personally, yeah, that's how I've gotten every deal. I did just buy a fourplex off of Facebook, believe it or not, but that's just kind of one off. That's not going to happen every day.
But that's a great place to do it, because my brother, actually, we have a fourplex up in New York, and I'm like, put it on there. And he put it on about 6 months ago to draw attention. And what a great place to rent. I mean, place, Facebook is great to rent, just to post to your friends and not even spending any kind of advertising. It's amazing. So on these smaller units, definitely, it's a great place. I mean, once you get into the bigger units, you have more savvier, buyers, but there are 4 units, 8 units, 10 units, 12 units, the 15, 20 units. That's definitely a place to look at. What value adds do you have on this deal that you've currently bought? Where do you see the value? Because I know 32 a door. What are they? What's the unit mix on them?
So there's 6 2s and 6 1s.
Okay. And what are the rents for the 2s?
So previously they were at $550.
Okay.
And $450 on the 1s.
And where are they going to?
They're going to go to $575 on the 1s and $675 on the 2s. Okay.
And is that with rubs? Is that with are you going to be doing rubs on there, or?
No. So I was going to go to $550 and $650.
Good.
We spoke on our call, and we talked about throwing the rubs into the rent.
That's great.
That's the way I went.
Yes, that's excellent. So you don't confuse things. That's definitely one way to do it. Now, let me ask you, you pay $32 a door. How much do you have to put in per unit to get these things upgraded once you think you're all done with it?
Yeah, so I'm going to be all in about $425, which comes out to about
take your time.
About 35 and a half.
Okay, so this is where everyone should just get a piece of paper and a pencil and take these notes, because this is where the value is on these podcasts. You bought an asset that's going to be producing $675 on average per door and $575. So what is the growth? So you're buying an asset with let's say on average between those two, you're going to do 625. So if you multiply 625 times 12 months, give me that number. What does that come out to? We're going live in the podcast, so we got to get. How much is it?
7,500.
So 7,500. So you bought an asset for $35,000 a unit. Divide 35,000 by 7,500.
Uh, 4.67.
So you're going to get your money back on average in 4.67 years.
Yep.
You think you did a good deal on that?
Yeah.
I would say so. If you find these deals, this is what we were buying 5 and 6 years ago. We were buying assets at 30 a door, and they were $450 a month in rent, and we were able to raise the rents to $595. So this is where the value is. If you're looking at it strictly on that, just from that perspective, from cash on cash and all, you can do a quick analysis like that. So Braden saw that his asset was 52 a door when he sold them, and he was probably getting the same amount of rent. He just traded down and bought an asset. So what a great way to velocitize your money. That's when you sell. When you sell, you can extract no more equity from the deal, or there's no more value adds, and you know you can sell that asset and trade up and buy a bigger asset at a cheaper price and add the value and then go forward. And if Braden wants to hold this to cash flow and create equity, or even cash out, refi this property, because there's an abundance of here. Because if it's worth $35,000 a unit, everybody, and he just sold something for $52,000 a door, he's got $17,000 on average per equity in this one deal per unit. If he refis the money out, it comes to Braden tax free until he sells. It's basically a loan to himself, but you're not paying any taxes today on that. On top of that, Braden is going to talk to me about cost segregation. We're going to help him probably cost segregate this deal, so he gets this swell of depreciation on that, so he gets write-offs on his taxes, and he gets money to get into his next deal. So what has he effectively done? The nirvana. He's actually rolled out money from an asset that he made a little money on into a smaller asset, added a ton of value to the property, going to refi the property out, continue to hold this asset with no money in it, and he's going to get tax-free money, put it into another deal, refinance it with another deal. And that's what we want to do. He's controlling assets, and his tax liability is amazing. So this is why multifamily real estate is powerful. Now, if Braden had a 100-unit deal instead of a 12-unit deal, that's where you see the power is. It's all the same amount of work once you start scaling up. But the important thing is, everybody, you need to start. You need to start with a 10-unit, 8-unit proof of concept. And then once you're comfortable, I know Braden's next deal is going to be at least a 30 or 40-unit deal. And then from there, he'll do that and then rinse and repeat. But you need to learn the steps, and you need to learn how to identify value. Because right then and there, when he told me those numbers, they clicked in my mind right away. And I'm sure in his market, he's got a smaller market, a lot of his expenses are even less. So it probably costs a lot less to run these apartments than your traditional, your traditional metro. And the other thing that's great about it is that he's managing it himself. So he's going to get some type of management fee. So he has multifaceted multifamily going on already, because he can have a little construction company from his fix and flip. He has a property management company where he's managing these things, and he's got the investment. So within the next 12 to 18 months, he's probably going to have a little syndication company where he's raising private money. So you can see from one little deal, I see Josh smiling over there. Josh, the light bulb's going off. You can see from one little deal, you can start to create an empire. But if you're not educated and you're not surrounding yourself with people that can show you how to do that, it's very hard for you to see, I guess, the light through the forest, right? Because it's very difficult when you're by yourself and you're running these things as a mom and pop, and you're worried about going and changing the toilet, and you're going there painting and all that. And you think you're saving some money. But I mean, if you can reposition this asset 6 months quicker, and you can get it quicker, and you've got that money, isn't it make more sense to have somebody help you with that work, or actually get that work farmed out to your contractors, make a little less money on that, but worry on actually getting the asset up to where it is. Does that make sense, Braden? I said a lot of stuff there. I'd like you to elaborate on what I said there.
Absolutely, because when I talked to you the first time, I didn't know what I was doing. I called you up and I said, I think I'm just going to sell these. And you stopped me in my tracks right there. You said, you're going to refi your money out. You're going to keep this asset. You're going to do it again. And that was worth the education right there. And then on top of that, I wouldn't have known what to do with this rehab process without being a part of Jake and Gino, because I have nobody around me that does this, that is, that has this level of knowledge. And so it's already been worth it. I've been on for 2 months, and I've power washed the building. I've put shutters up. I've done all these things that you guys have talked about, improving the property, and just stuff that I never would have thought about. So I want to say thank you for the academy, and I think like you said, my next target is moving up into that next property, rolling this money out, and going again.
So your next step is to create a credibility book. For anybody out there who doesn't know what a credibility book is, everyone says, well, how do I get my first deal? How do I show myself my credibility? Well, Braden is going to talk about the market that he's invested in. He's going to create what we call a Jake and Gino credibility book. It's basically a business plan. And now he's got proof of concept. So when he goes and speaks to investors, we teach in Jake and Gino how you approach an investor. He's got a great asset there. Could you imagine going to somebody saying, I've got an asset, I've got tax benefits, I've got cash flow, and I've got the ability to refi and roll, and I've got a business. I'm not just a little mom and pop anymore. It'll be so much easier for you to raise money on your next deal because you've got the proof of concept. And that's why it's important to be able to start. It does not matter how big the deal is. If it's a fourplex and you're house hacking, or if it's a 42 unit, it doesn't matter. You just need to start. You need to surround yourself with people who've done it. And honestly, Braden, not many people take the advice or listen to the education, because sometimes it's out there and people, they naysayers. How old are you, Braden? You're in your 20s, correct?
I just turned 26.
So there's so many young people in the Jake and Gino community. And I want you to dispel the myth that I'm too young, I don't have any money. Those are two myths, correct?
Correct. I don't believe you need the money. I think you need the knowledge. I think you have to know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can't just go to anybody and ask for money and not know what you're doing. I will say my primary investors on the multifamily side is my father, and on the fix and flip side is my mother. They wouldn't have gone into business with me though if I didn't know what I was doing. They're not going to risk their financial future just because I'm their son. So you can't go to your uncle, your aunt, your mom, your dad if you don't know what you're doing. So you have to get educated first.
So hold on, that's a really good point there. And an analogy to really think about this and really hammer that out and have it make sense. Let me ask you, Braden or Gino, would you let a undergraduate student who wants to be a doctor perform heart surgery on you?
Well, not on me. Maybe on you, Josh, but not on me, right?
Hey, it takes a lot to take me out, so they got a little more margin of error there. Now, same thing. Why would you take your family's or your friends' financial future in your own and risk that without the education? When you put it in that light, it all of a sudden makes sense. And there is no accredited school for multifamily real estate investors. So you got to reach up. Success leaves clues. Why reinvent the wheel? If there's someone that has the results that you want, and you trust them and you click with them, follow their suit, right? It worked for a reason. So
that's a great point, Josh. And that was what I did years ago when I tried to get my wife on board. And she was on board from the very beginning. But my thing is, if I'm going to risk our financial future, if I'm going to move my family, if I'm going to get into this full time, and I'm going to leave the restaurant, the comfort of a job, I needed to really spend hours and hours and hours educating myself and learning the business. So at least if I failed, I had no excuses. I had no regrets because I spent hundreds of hours on coaching and hundreds of hours of listening to videos and hundreds of hours of going to markets and really putting the time and effort into it before jumping in full head first. Because I think what happens, the average student, they'll do a couple hours of training, they'll go visit a market, and then they'll go, there's no deals. I mean, it's like being a farmer. When you're an entrepreneur, you need to plant seeds and continue to water those crops. And it might take you 6 months. And, Braden's put a lot of hard work into this. This is not going to be a 3-month adventure. It's going to take a good 12 months for him to take these units up to market, to clean them out, to reposition the tenants. But after a year, he's only 27 years old and he's going to have all his capital out and he's going to have a great tax benefit and he's going to be able to do it again. So, I mean, what is 12 to 18 months? That's the problem with multifamily. One of the problems that I see is that people don't have the long view. They don't have the long game. They're in there. They're transaction based. They get the dopamine hit, and they're like, you know what? I like these single family homes because I can flip them. And I was joking around with him in the beginning. Why does he like his single family? Because with single family, you get that instant gratification. That's why it's difficult being a parent. You've got to wait till your kids grow up to see the fruits of your labor. You have a 3-year-old running around the house. You don't seem like you're an accomplished parent, but wait and keep nurturing that baby. And when that baby gets older, you're going to see the fruits of what that baby's turned out to be, a great adult. I can speak to that because I think my wife's dedicated her entire life to raising the kids. And it's the same thing with multifamily. You're not going to buy a deal and 3 months later, you're going to cash out and hit a home run. It's going to take time to do that. So don't be discouraged if it's taking you a little bit longer. Just know that if you stick through it and you work hard, you're going to get the results that Braden got. Does that make sense, guys?
Yeah. So I want to hammer another point on this one. So I'm not here to sell you on education, but I do want you to see the value of getting educated. Education is the only investment you can make that minimizes risk and maximizes upside. I'm going to say that again. Education is the only investment you can make that minimizes risk and maximizes upside. Think about that one for a second.
And Braden, just another thing. Once you've got that education, it's amazing. You'll never forget it, right? You'll always know how to refi a deal. You'll always know how to reposition a property. And then within the next 12 to 18 months, you're probably going to start a podcast and teach other people how to do it because you learn, do, and teach, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's exponential growth. I mean, it's very hard up front. It's like getting a train started. It's difficult. It's tons of hours. It's you can ask my wife. There's times where I've got to work, but we see the light at the end of the tunnel. You see how fast that train can get going. You see that growth. You see guys like you that have come from where I'm at and gone to that place. So it's just having that long view and committing to it and, just sticking with it and educating yourself and putting in the time.
I love that. So what Braden said for everybody out there is you need clarity. You need to know where your train is headed and what you want to get your train to go to. Braden doesn't want to be a basketball coach anymore. I didn't want to be in the kitchen anymore. That's great. Now we have clarity on that. What's the next step? What do we want to do? We both, it appears that we both wanted to create businesses that could help our lifestyles, right? So our lifestyles will be afforded by our businesses. That's what we both wanted. What was the next step then? The next step was him getting into single family and fix and flips and then transitioning to multifamily. And I did the same thing with multifamily. So let's take a quick break to hear from our sponsors.
Hello everybody, this is Jake Senziano, co-founder of Jake and Gino Multifamily Education. We are super excited to be bringing Multifamily Mastery Live to Orlando this October 19th and 20th at the Gaylord Palms Resort and Convention Center, located 10 minutes from Disney and the airport. This event is going to be the multifamily event of the year. Our team is going to be providing unparalleled networking, education, and capital raising opportunities. The event will be formatted utilizing our 3-step investment framework: buy right, manage right, and finance right. Your experience will include networking with brokers, lenders, and vendors from across the multifamily spectrum. Our speaker lineup consists of doers, or as Gino likes to say, the doers, meaning that these are professionals working in the business, making it happen day in and day out. If you're ready to take the next step in your multifamily investing career, click the link and get ready because it's time to make it happen.
Okay, Braden, I got some short answer questions here for you. So what would be your favorite book you've ever read and why?
Hands down, Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. A lot of people say that, I know, but it truly changed my life, my path, my thought process, and everything, the way I looked at business in the world. So if I could give everybody a book in the world, it would be that one.
So what did it change about your thought process? What did you start thinking differently about?
I stopped thinking about having a job and started thinking about running a business, owning a business. And it's a shift that I don't think a lot of people ever, they don't get the opportunity for that to even enter their brain. They just assume that you go and work for somebody. You grow up, you work for somebody else, so it just made me realize that, hey, there is somebody that owns that business. There's somebody so now everywhere I drive around, I see an apartment complex. Somebody owns that, somebody owns that restaurant. People that own the businesses are ultimately deciding their future. You're not risking your lifestyle in a job that could be taken away in an instant.
It's amazing how you can look at an apartment complex and say cash in dollars, and another person can say that's my house. That's where I'm living. That right there is just a shift that everybody needs. They don't have to have that as their house. They can own that. And a lot of people don't think they can. So it's really a mind shift. It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's incredible. Yep. Every apartment complex I see, I just think, man, Must be nice to be that guy.
How? No, I think how can we buy it? That's my thought process now.
Yeah.
What's that worth? What's the occupancy going on? What are the rents? What's he looking to get? What's the debt on it? That's the thought process that I have right now. So it's pretty bad actually, because I can't drive down the street without looking at apartments and going, wow, that is real. I love the location. Where can I add value on it? That's what you start saying to yourself. So you start shifting from, you know what, that's nice, to like, okay, where's the value play on this thing? So it takes a little time, but I mean, once you got it, the bug, you walk into it. And I used to do that with restaurants. I'd walk into a restaurant and go, wow, needs work there. That system is not good. Now that I've learned how to build a business, I wish I'd done that 20 years ago, because it could really help my business and had multiple restaurants. But hey, it takes time to grow. So I'm glad you're at that point already.
Yeah, and I will say, a lot of people would say to me, well, isn't that risky? You know, you're starting your own business. You don't have a job. I say, yeah, but what's also very risky to me is sitting behind a desk for 40 years, answering to somebody else. So to me, that's risky.
Wow. So let's expand on that, Josh, for a second, because a lot of people hit me up with that. And is a W-2 job risky? With taxes going up and you're making more, but you're also paying more? That's one risk, number one. The number risk is what I like to refer to as FOMO, fear of missing out. What are you missing out in your life? You're not taking chances, but like Braden said, when you're 40 years from now, what are you regretting after 40 years of your life of saying, you know what, I did work for somebody else. I made somebody else rich. And I think number three, more than anything else, is just finding out something that you love to do. And if you miss out on life from something that you love to do, I'm going to tell you all right now, if you're listening to this podcast and you're thinking about retiring, how many more years you have left to retire, look into multifamily, because you're not in the right place. Because I've got a lot of friends who are like, yeah, I've got 5 years left to retire. I'm like, dude, I'm never going to retire. That's the point. Your point is to continue to grow in life and to continue to contribute. And if you can do that and leave your W-2 job and find out what your passion is, that's what life is all about.
I like that. And I want to expand on it. So I think the risk is the predetermined death sentence of having those 40 years and knowing that fate and that outcome, to retire at 60, 65, to be able to live a little bit and then barely enjoy it. That is scary, the certainty of that. Now, taking a chance to build your business, have assets that produce money for you, so you're not trading time for dollars, and having that true control of your destiny rather than a boss and employer, that to me is their nirvana. And it's way more scary knowing that outcome of that predetermined fate of the 40 plus years at a W-2 job than taking the chance to make things happen. And I'm going to bet on me on building the business. That's what I look at it as.
And Josh, you had said to me the other day about the Millionaire Fast Lane. Everybody should read the book, The Millionaire Fast Lane by MJ DeMarco. You're trading 5 days for 2. You're working Monday through Friday to get Saturday and Sunday off. I mean, whoever made that pact, that makes absolutely no sense when you really stop and think about it. I don't want to trade any days. I want to work 7 days a week and enjoy what I'm doing. And you know what? I mean, that's the way it should be. So really read that book. That's another fantastic book to actually change the paradigm in your mind.
Even worse, you're trading 50 weeks you're working a year for 2 possible weeks of vacation. Come on now. That again, doesn't make sense.
I agree, bro.
So, all right, Braden, back to you. What about your best habit for success?
So I've had this thought coming into my head. I've been drinking from a fire hose for the last, 2 months and really for the last year and a half, learning about real estate. And I've kind of boiled it down to, if every day I improve my current properties and I improve my systems, then I'm making progress. So I've just said that to myself like the last 2 weeks. I didn't get it from anywhere. I don't know why it came to my head, but I think I was just getting overwhelmed. And I just said, look, if I do one thing every day to improve my current properties and one thing every day to improve my current systems, then I'm going to progress and succeed.
That's so important. That incremental ability, that's just incremental. That's all you need. And like, the Atomic Habits book with James Clear, he says that you do little incremental work every single day. You'll look back 18 months from now, you're like, wow, I've got my systems built out and I've got my property repositioned. And then from there, you just continue to build on those things. So that is excellent advice. Thank you for that.
Yeah, that's a great mindset. So if you look at the journey, say I want to climb a mountain that's 2 miles high, it looks insane and overly challenging. But if I can focus on putting one foot in front of the other and just taking that next step, all of a sudden it doesn't seem so overwhelming. So that's, again, great advice. Braden, how can the listeners get a hold of you?
Yeah, so I will go ahead and just throw my cell phone number out there. 812-592-8653. You can call me, text me anytime. You can also check out my website, heartlandequity.com. And you can also email me at bgasper@heartlandequity.com. And also for anybody in the Indiana, Northern Kentucky, South Ohio area, I'm working with Jamie and Ben Wall. I'm starting a Southern Indiana multifamily and more meetup.
All right.
So I'm going to have information coming out about that soon. So for anybody in the area, be on the lookout for that. Get a hold of me if you're interested in coming to the meetup.
So that's awesome. That's another value add from the community where you're surrounding yourself with guys who are actually putting meetups together and they're syndicating their meetups. So, I mean, that is awesome. I'm proud of you. That's going to be you'll be a little comfortable with that. You know what I mean? But you should be, but you're going to kick ass on that. So I know you are, and you're going to be serving a lot of people. You're going to be networking with a lot of people. You're going to be growing your investor base. You have case studies you're going to share with people. So that's great. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Boom. I want to thank Braden for being an amazing guest on the show and sharing his movers and shakers story. Guys, if you want to be the next movers and shakers guest, email me, josh@jakeandgino.com. If you like the show, please leave us a review. And until next time, let's make it a movers and shakers week. See ya, guys.
Thanks, Braden. Take care, bro.
Thank you.